Live at a weekly chart of the S&P 500 index, and you can see that after these three legs down, we had this rally here, which began in late October. Right here, the three legs down, 1, 2, 3, and then we've rallied off the low there of the 4103. Maybe I should kind of pinch in a little bit here so we can see what's going on here with the S&P. And it had this reversal day on that Friday. I'll get to the daily chart in a minute, but it made a high of 5,189 the last week, just had an inside week. And still well above its 10-week line there, 2.4%. I said I'd go to the daily chart, and I mean it. Yeah, it made this high here on this Friday and then reversed lower, and then there was some sellers remaining on Monday, and then we had an update on Tuesday, and the last three sessions just sold off, but it's still, 0.5% above its 21. So we're going to watch that. Eventually, at some point, it's going to trade down to its 50, and that would probably be an area where we'd want to be aggressive with stocks. But on the way down, you might want to lighten up, be a little more cautious. Anyway, I'm going to go to the Dow Jones Industrial Average because that one's a little more telling here. Is it made this high, and the last 3 weeks it's pulled back to its 10-week line. So the industrial average having a little more troubles the last 3 weeks. And then I have to go to the Nasdaq. This is the one that I follow closely. The Nasdaq on Friday lost its 21 EMA, which we need to be mindful of. Traded below it and then tried to claw back. It's 0.7% below the 10 and just a tick below the 21. It's still 2.3% above this 50. And like I say, at some point, it's going to trade down to the 50. I mean, it could do it in a day. 2% is nothing. But anyway, it made that high on that Friday of March 8th, 16,449, then reversed lower, pulled back. So that was our temporary high for now. It's having trouble with this old high of 16,212, which was made on November 21st, 2021. So that level there is providing a little bit of resistance here. Just the 16,000 level itself, it's just kind of trading right around there. So let's go to the daily. If it does trade down to the 21, I mean, it might be painful temporarily, but short term, I'm cautious. Mid-term, I'm bullish, and longer term, I'm super bullish. So if it trades down to the 50, I'm going to be getting more aggressive. But like I said, you don't want to take that trip because it could be painful, depending upon what stocks you're in. Speaking of stocks, we're going to get to some stocks here. This is NVIDIA. Made that high on that Friday reversal day, and that's probably going to be the high for a little while. 974, now it's pulled back to its 10 EMA, and we'll see if it finds support there. Kind of like this little flag pattern here with the higher lows. You can see definitely these higher lows. And as it pulls back to the 10 EMA, there's nothing wrong with that. But they have the GPU technology conference this week in San Jose, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a few announcements and a lot of news out of NVIDIA and the Supermicro and those stocks. You can see there, gosh, it was even up last week. So it seems like it traded down, but it was just kind of flat on the week. Just had a quiet inside week, and you could see the strength here for NVIDIA. I did mention SMCI. They will be presenting at the conference as well, and you can see just had a quiet inside week, well above its moving averages. That would be considered, I would consider this right here a high type flag. This is your pole, and then it flagged out a little bit here, and then resumed higher. It had that one day where it was up like 240 points. This day here, but anyway, it made that high once again. People were screaming that this was the high here on that reversal of 1,077. It did pull back, fill these gaps in here, but then made a new high on March 8th and then had that reversal. So 1,229 is a number we're looking for. It did close on Friday, tick below its 10, right? 1.6. If you see the selling here on the 5-minute chart, this is going into the index on Monday, so this could be some rebalancing. I don't know. We'll find out if it catches back up next week, but you can see the heavy selling there towards the close. For super micro, now it's going into the S&P, and people are saying, "Oh, that's the end of it. It's topped out." But Palo Alto Networks went into the S&P 500, and it was 200 and I don't know $30 at the time back in the summer of 23, and it ramped all the way up to 380. So just because it's going into the index doesn't mean that's the end of the story for SMCI. I kind of doubt it. I mean, if you think this bull market is being led by an AI revolution, you'd have to be in, NVIDIA. You'd think those stocks would be going higher, AMD, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they say this week. This is an important week, not only because the Fed is speaking, but because of that conference. Anyway, the Fed's not going to do anything. All right, this is AMD, obvious reversal bar here on that Friday, like the index, like a lot of these technology stocks, and just pull back to its, undercut its 21, then recovered on Friday. So AMD, looks fine to me on the weekly chart. You can see this nice cup with handle and just been real powerful move for AMD. I'm just going to go through some stocks that I like and own. This is part of some of the stocks that I own. I've been waiting on Abercrombie and Fitch. I believe I put it on my leading stock list last October at $55. I've been waiting for a pullback ever since. Finally, it pulled back last week after reporting strong earnings. So I said I'm going to take a swing at this thing. It started to rally back through its moving averages, but Abercrombie and Fitch has been a beast, and they're reporting, real strong, earnings and sales growth. These estimates, pretty low bars for them to hurdle, I think. So anyway, it's 10% off of its high. Abercrombie and Fitch looks fantastic. Novo Nordisk is another stock that I own. Obviously, these guys are killing it in the weight loss category. Medicare is reviewing Wegovy for cardiovascular patients, and if it gets approved, it's going to bring the price of the drug down quite a bit and affordable for those with cardiovascular disease. But the problem with Novo is they don't have enough manufacturing to supply the demand. The demand is just so overwhelming. Same with Eli Lilly, just too much demand. You could see these stocks were in flat bases when the Nasdaq was rallying, but as soon as 2024 hit, these things took off. Eli Lilly looks real strong, just made a new high and then pulled back to its 21. I believe this will be the first $1 trillion drug stock. I got to go to Meta. I would think Meta would, benefit from the TikTok ordeal, but it's just having trouble here at this 500 level. Just keeps pulling back here, pull back to the 21. That old high is like a magnet, 485, there it is, close right at it. So let's keep an eye on Meta. Spotify again pulled back like a lot of tech stocks back to the 21, doing nothing wrong. Like I say, if the index pulls back to the 50, I think it'll be a gift. Some of these stocks will correct more than the index. And then Deckers. Deckers is going into the S&P 500 on Monday as well. I got to go to the 5-minute chart because we saw this selling here at the close. And Deckers, they only have Deckers. I'm going to go to the weekly chart. 25 million shares in their float. So they really need to split the stock as they go into the index. Part of the criteria is that they're liquid names, and that's not very liquid. SMCI might need to split their stock as well. Anyway, the rally has broadened out. I'm going to get away from those tech stocks and stocks I like and own to get to some of the oil and gas stocks. Those were my best performing stocks last week. They've been performing well for a while now. There's a PRR. You can see it had this big move and it's consolidated for a long time. And now it has this base on base pattern and it's pushing away from the base here. And it looks like it's just going to surf the 10 for a while. It's slower moving stock. It's not it's not an NVIDIA or an SMCI, but slow and steady can win the race. PSX. This is Phillips 66. This is Rosanna's favorite oil stock. So congrats to you, Ro. You're doing well with this name. It's a refining stock. You can see consolidation, move higher, 3 weeks tight. Last week was up, 6.5%. Not bad. Marathon Petroleum, another refining stock, consolidated, now it's broken out. It had the 3 weeks tight as well, just like Phillips 66. So Marathon, this thing looks like it's going parabolic. Good for the shareholders there. SDRL is one that I had on my watch list with Permian. This one's just building the right side of the base, still consolidation. I had an early entry there, I think around, I don't know, 46 or something. I don't have all my data with me here, but you can see the IPO consolidation, the move up, more consolidation, and now it looks like it might start breaking away from that old high. So I'm keeping an eye on Seadrill, obviously a driller stock. FANG, the real FANG, Diamondback Energy, broke out of a base, trending higher, being supported by that 10 EMA, just surfing the moving averages. This thing looks fantastic. There's your breakout, clear as day. 18% move and just moving higher. And that's why we don't ignore those big moves higher. Is there any other ones? Oh yeah, Tidewater and Weatherford. Those two are doing fantastic, making new highs. That's a field services stock. Weatherford's oil and gas equipment, just doing fantastic. So anyway, I'm going to get out of that and into the drug stocks. Madrigal had a news last week. They had an FDA approval for MASH, a liver. I can't pronounce the name of the drug, but I thought it would perform better. First of its kind, and it ran up to 300, then pulled back, closed at 270. They have a KOL, I believe, this week. So we'll see the opinion leaders if they say good things about this drug that I can't pronounce. But anyway, good news for that company and those with liver disease. Here's Aquestive Therapeutics. Rarely do I talk about a stock, under $10. This one had news, pretty confident in this one. I've been mentioning it recently. Yeah, gosh, what is it? To replace the EpiPen. It's a film, that you can carry with you. If you feel a seizure coming on, you can just pop it in your mouth and it works quickly. I'm blanking on the name of it. It doesn't matter. They were approved by the FDA and had a nice move higher on Friday. They were approved. I think the news came out Thursday after the markets closed and had a nice 16% move. But they have more news coming. I believe they're expecting an approval for a drug in April, and then they're going to file an NDA in the back half of 2024, a new drug application, and then they still have more news in 2025. So if you're a longer term investor, I think this is a place you could park some money. I did. Anyway, put your money where your mouth is. MedPace Holdings. This one doing fantastic as well. What am I doing here? This is medical research. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Yeah, the medical research group. There was one more. Yeah, that one looks good. Sorry about that. There was one more drug stock I wanted to get to. Viking, obviously moved higher, 121%. They have the compound for the weight loss drug. They're going to release some data here, I think, before the end of this first quarter, before the end of the month. So pretty soon here, it just pulled back to its 21. And I did want to get to the medical group, another group. And I talk about this broadening rally. The tech has stalled, but some of these other areas of financials, insurance, industrials, materials, mining, a lot of areas have been doing really well. I just showed you the oil and gas, drugs, and now Intuitive Surgical is a medical. They have the Da Vinci. They introduced a new product. This thing pulled back to the 50 and bounced, and that's what I'm looking for the indexes here. Nice cup with handle, big move higher, pull back to the 50 for the first time since the breakout. That's usually a gift, and it looks like it was with Intuitive Surgical. The other one I wanted to get to was NTRA ahead of MedPace. This one, big gap higher, now just forming this shelf type pattern. Yeah, big move, more than 10% with that type of volume. We don't want to ignore that. Now it's formed this 3 weeks tight. NTRA. And then the last one I had MedPace earlier. And this one looks like it might be 3 weeks tight as well. It's a weekly review. You got to go to the weeklies. Yes, 3 weeks tight. Pull back a little bit last week, 2%. That one looks fantastic as well. You got the estimates of, double-digit sales growth and earnings growth. So MedPace looks fine. All right, I'm going to move on. GigaCloud Technology, they reported on Friday morning, and man, this thing ramped. It's got a small float with a lot of shorts and interest in it. So yeah, oh my God, only has 8.8 million shares in the float. So that allows it to move quickly. You can see the old high is like $62. And man, with the report that they had on Friday, I would 95% sales growth. You can see the accelerating sales growth here for this company, 23, 39, 95. Triple digit earnings growth. Man, there's hard to find any hair on this company. This is fantastic. Dave is another one. I call this the hard software group, computer hardware, tech services, whatever. Dave looked like it was going parabolic, then pulled back to the 10 last week. How does that look on the weekly? Yeah, looks a little like a short stroke pattern, but it just gave up too much. So yeah, 5% last week. But after the big move the prior week, I mean, it looks like a little speck, 57% move. So Dave is on the move. And the last one I wanted to show you in this group was, IBM. Yeah, IBM, they reported a pretty strong quarter. This has got an interesting chart pattern here. I like it above 197. It just pulled back like a lot of tech did last week to its 21. So we'll see if the rotation can come back into tech, or if it's just going to flow to all these other groups for another week. We'll see. So I'm looking forward to that this week. ULTA, beauty. I got to go to the beauty category. Reported a strong quarter. They were expanding into Mexico. I mean, everything about that quarter was pretty darn good. Their guidance was, not what Wall Street wanted, but it pulled back. Man, it really pulled back here. A low of a 502, close at 535, near the top of its daily range. Yeah, 76%. So ULTA, there's nothing wrong with ULTA. This just looks like profit taking to me. There you can see the cup with handle, the move higher. When you're trading at an all-time high and you report earnings, you got to expect some profit taking. See the day before it made an all-time high, just pulled back to its 50 and now bounced. I would expect that thing to resume its uptrend. ULTA, fantastic. Turtle Beach, this is one with the gamers. I have I think a subscriber who keeps mentioning this one to me, so I'll keep reporting on it because they had pretty strong earnings, and that's a nice breakout from a base. Yeah, you got to like that move, 45% last week. Thank you very much. We'll take that. But it gapped higher on Thursday, and then followed up, which is what you like to see with the indexes. We're really struggling. This thing followed up 10% on Friday, so maybe the buyers aren't done there with Turtle Beach. HEAR here is the ticker symbol. They make headphones and electronic gear. Costco, they reported earnings recently. I forget, like the week before. Sold off. This had a big move after the breakout. It was going parabolic. Just pulled back to its 50. Costco looks fine. And Dick's reported earnings Thursday or Friday? Yeah, Thursday morning, and gapped higher. That's a move that's not to be ignored. Had an inside day on Friday. Dick's looks fine. The CEO is pretty sharp. She's doing a good job with Dick's Sporting Goods. And I think O'Reilly reported earnings, right? Yeah, and man, this thing's strong. Just surfing its moving averages. O'Reilly looks fantastic. Okay, Adobe. I'm gonna go to the software names. Adobe reported earnings, and no bueno. Wall Street didn't like it. They talked about other little companies are taking market share from them. So Adobe's in timeout. You can see the move on the weekly. That is just violating all the moving averages here. And so it's adios muchachos for Adobe. ESTC, I mentioned the tech and the software names have been getting sold aggressively. Elastic had a couple of gaps higher following earnings, this time gap lower, sliced its 50. And, it's just adios muchachos. Cannot find a bottom there. Same with Snowflake. Reported earnings and vertically violated the 50, violated the 200. This thing just cannot find a bottom. I have some people who just said, maybe 150, we'll take a look at it. I don't even know. I mean, it's gotta stop going down before it can go up. Snowflake just looks terrible. Oracle reported earnings last week. Fantastic earnings report. I think it was Monday. Gapped higher, then it was pulled back the last few sessions. With the indexes, trading lower. Oracle is pulling back, but man, they said they're going to have an announcement at the GPU technology conference this week with NVIDIA. So we'll look forward to that. There you can see it's still in consolidation on the weekly chart. And the last one I wanted to mention is ServiceNow. I took this off my leading stock list, just sliced its 50. So you want to see it supported there like it was. So now it's not being supported. So ServiceNow in a little bit of trouble here. I got to go to, I don't know. These are just crypto names, right? MicroStrategy, one of the leading stocks, Supermicro and MicroStrategy. Something about micro that makes these stocks go parabolic. Anyway, this is tied to the price of Bitcoin. They just did a secondary offering and I'm going to buy more Bitcoin with it. Can't have enough Bitcoin. You can see this thing. Of course, it's gappy because Bitcoin trades 24/7, 365. So Bitcoin jumps, 5% overnight. This thing's going to open up higher. So MicroStrategy's just been a monster stock. I mentioned this. Some people say, "Oh, it's more than 200% above the 200 SMA," and that's a sell sign. And I'm telling you, it's not. Just look at history of some of these winning stocks when they get. Just look at the bottom there in the black, the 200 SMA. There you see it's 203% above the 200. The price though was 1,425. So if you sold it there, you just missed out on a bunch of points because it's above its 200 SMA. So yeah, it's 211 there on March 11th, and it's a 229. It gapped higher, it's 260 points above its 260% above its 200 simple moving average. And you can see how many points you would have lost out on if you were sold here. And then on Friday, it closed 253% above its 200. So that is not a sell sign, folks. Supermicro did the same thing above its 200. It's just not a sell sign. Sorry. Coin is another strong stock that's in the crypto space. Made this breakout. It undercut the 50, rallied back through it, made this little handle here as it pulled back to the 10, just exploded higher. And now it's pulled back to the 10 again. So we'll see if it finds support there. I think it will. Coinbase looks fantastic. And then CLSK, this one is just a wild stock. Yeah, it's just wild stock. It runs up, then it pulls back, then it runs up, then it pulls back, and it'll settle down eventually, I guess. But maybe you look at the weekly chart and it's not so crazy. There you go. Yeah, so it's just kind of been about 5 weeks there. It's not a flat base though. That thing is way wild. Anyway, that's it for that group. I have to mention the miners. I've been over the insurance companies and financials, and I haven't mentioned much of the miners. So Southern Copper definitely broke out here last week. Let's look at the weekly chart. It's a weekly review. Definitely breaking out here last week out of consolidation. That looks fantastic with big volume up, yeah, nearly 20%. So Southern Copper looks great. TECK is another one of these miners. They said, I don't know, they put themselves up for sale. I don't know. Certainly not a reason to buy a stock, but it's definitely showing strength. That's Tech Resources, TECK, still consolidating in a base, even though it had a big week last week. The other one was a Freeport McMoran, just consolidating in a base. Had a big week though, nearly 12% last week. And there you can see the gap higher out of that double bottom base. And the last one, STLD is a steel stock. They reported on Friday and had a nice response to that. Anyway, that's it for me. Except for I have one more thing in honor of the great Steve Jobs. You need to audit your stocks. I do it every weekend, to see which ones are doing well, which ones aren't. I kick them to the curb if they. In this type of a market, they should find support at their 21. This is ELF, one that I own, and it's finding support. So I'm holding on to it. But if it slices the 21, it's likely to take a trip to the 50. So I'll be selling something like that. I don't want to take that trip. I can always buy it back. This is Broadcom. This one, had this ascending base pattern, made that high. of 1,438, reported a strong quarter, but it had nothing but profit taking and sliced the 50, the 21, and now pull back to the 50, and that's what you can expect to see. So when you audit your stocks, if they're below the 21 in this market, you got to exercise some caution with the indexes stalling here. What was the last one that I wanted to show? Oh yeah, VRT, no stalling in this one. It just pulled back following its earnings report and just surfing its moving averages. Now, this is showing strength while the Nasdaq and the indexes sold off a little bit last week. So that's definitely one to keep your eye on. And another one I want to show, the HVAC. These are part of the data center plays, the air conditioning, heating, HVAC products. Now this one pulled back to its 21. So you say, oh, it's going to the 50, I'm going to sell it. Then it just rallied right back through it. So you have to be careful, give it some time, a couple of days. That's why I wait till Saturday to kind of see how things shake out. Unless unless they go right straight down, then I said, adios muchachos. But you got to give them some chance to rally back above, and Modine certainly did that. Anyway, that's it for me. Like I say, short term, I'm a little cautious. Medium term, I'm bullish, and longer term, super bullish on the markets. But you have to, like I said, audit your stocks and do post analysis on your trades. And at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. Thank you for watching.